Everybody, gonna do a mic check here. Make sure everything is functioning properly. So I already see an issue. I need to. All right, my microphone should be connected. Test, test, test. Okay, we're going over cold calling scripts. Cold calling scripts here. I'm gonna post. Just post this in my Facebook group and make sure I'm streaming to all my assets. I hope everybody's having a great New Year so far. I hope everybody is made it into the new year, not just themselves, obviously, if you're on this call or watching this at a later date, but also your loved ones. Not everybody made it. It was New Year's Eve, and guys, I was listening. I heard the ambulance, fire trucks, police officers. I'm in Charlotte, in downtown Charlotte, uptown, and just you never know what can happen, guys. So I hope everybody was staying safe. I know it's a very happy time of the year for a lot of people, but also a very low time as well. For me personally, I have mixed feelings. I'm gonna be honest about the New Year's when it comes around, like that holiday season. I just like getting on with it. I'm so glad it's the new year. So guys, without further ado, let me just go ahead and post this live stream inside my Facebook group. Again, if you guys been joining me for a few months, you guys would know that I'm having this issue with Restream. For some reason, it doesn't sync to my Facebook group. So thank you guys for everybody who's watching on Facebook, on my Facebook group, and on YouTube. So give me like 2 minutes and we'll roll right into it. Okay. So I want to copy this. Mute myself. Okay, that's in my Facebook group. Just got to check my YouTube channel, make sure that's I'm streaming over there, and then I will go ahead and jump into my cold calling script, guys. Script. Wow, can't talk today. Okay. Okay, it looks like I'm streaming on YouTube, Facebook, my Facebook group, and on my Facebook page. All right, guys, so I'm going to go ahead and roll into it. Like always, guys, we're going to go for about an hour here. Either way, I have to get off in like an hour and 30 minutes because I have a training call that I have to go on for my build to scale clients. But guys, so I want to take it back to the basics. So I think it's good to start discussing some of the basic principles in real estate wholesaling. Okay. Guys, you have to forgive me. Some of the concepts I talk about, they may not be very beginner friendly. And so I want to make sure I'm always rotating in some concepts that beginners can understand. And if not beginners, people that have, people that can maybe like trying to get their businesses off the ground, or things that aren't taught in other coaching programs, right? Or in other Facebook groups. I think a lot of people focus on tactics, not strategy. And guys, what I do when it comes to cold calling, this isn't something that I revolutionized or anything like this. I've been using the same script since 2019, and this has gone through multiple revisions, like 5 or 6. I've given this to Filipino cold callers. I've given this to Nicaraguan employees. My team in Nicaragua is currently using this. Okay, I've used this myself to personally cold call my students, my clients, and everybody in between. So I'm going to not only go line by line here on this cold calling script, and I'm not doing clickbait here. This cold calling script has literally gotten me and my partners over $1 million in assignment fees. I'm not saying $1 million in my pocket, but in assignment fees. And you can use this in all 50 states. Okay. I'm going to go line by line and also make a few points here that you guys may not realize are important to emphasize, or things that are skimmed over. Everything in here is methodical. Okay. I don't have one line in here that is not methodical. Okay. And let's see where they're watching us and who's watching us. We have Gerard Clark. Hey, what's going on, D? Perfect timing. I was on the phone cold calling when your feed came across that you were doing a live stream on cold calling scripts. Exactly. Love to hear it. Craig, what's going on, my guy, Craig? Hey, it's good seeing you. Good seeing you. And Craig is in Indianapolis, if I'm not mistaken, right? Hope you're staying warm up there. And my guy, Kevin Hicks, so good to see you. Thanks for giving back. Much appreciated. Guys, it's so great to have you guys here. Please join in, chime in where you're from. Chime in, if you have any questions or comments. Hopefully I'll be providing some value to you guys that you may not have heard of, right? I don't just want to go over generic stuff. Okay. So I'm not about the generic stuff. I'm about like actually giving you guys gems on every call. So I respect you guys' time. Okay. So guys, anytime you're going to see this highlighted text here in green, this is where you're going to want to replace your name. Okay. Or not your name, your information. It's a variable that has to be changed. Everything in black, try to keep the same. Obviously this script is written in a way that you're having a conversation with a cooperative homeowner. Okay. So I will show you if the seller says, like, if they say, hey, you're not speaking to John Smith, what do you say then? Okay. That's the purpose of going over the script, but this thing will be like 20 pages long if you have all the different workflows and directions where it could go. After analyzing, guys, I don't want to sound facetious here, but millions of phone calls, like conducting millions of phone calls and analyzing thousands of them, I've consolidated this script down to the most common directions that it could go. And guys, you want to be mindful of certain things you're looking for, or that you're listening for here. Okay. I'm going to make some notes here. And I'll just make some notes. I'll resave this just for the live stream here so I don't mess up my original script. And I'll just put some notes down here just to be mindful of. Okay. Okay. Overtime. Guys, here's some advice. The seller responses are derived from common conversations we have had with cooperative homeowners. So this is based off of if the homeowner is cooperative. Really, guys, if somebody's not cooperative, there's not going to be no need to go past the second, third, fourth, fifth line. Keep this in mind. I have a 3-strike policy when it comes to qualifying homeowners. Okay, what does this mean? I'll emphasize, elaborate on this. I'm giving the seller 3 opportunities to come across negative before I end the phone call. Guys and gals, We want to speak with cooperative homeowners, not guys. We don't want to speak with. We're not convincing people to sell. Either the time is right or it's not. That's it. And I'll bold and emphasize and underline this. Either the time is right or it's not. Guys, even the most motivated sellers that come through, if I use this script and I qualify a seller, I just had a call with my leads management team an hour ago, okay, in a campaign we're doing in Cleveland. But if I were to go through this script, or I'm sorry, we had a lead that we qualified 2 weeks ago, and a gentleman just left the hospital. And every time that my leads manager calls, she's able to get this seller on the phone, but the timing just wasn't jiving up. He was either in physical training, PT, rehab, or trying to sort some stuff out with family members with the holiday. But every time he called, he says, "Hey, Bellin, I'm going to get back with you. I'm going to get back with you. Thanks for calling." Guys, that seller, he is extremely motivated. He's hot. But guys, at one point, that seller was very cold. He has, I think, 7 or 8 properties he wants to sell with us, and we'll probably be acquiring 2 to start off with. Very hot, very motivated, cooperative. Guys, 10 years ago, he was probably very cold. So every seller that comes through our that we qualify, I almost said come through our CRM, but every seller that we qualify with our cold calling script, guys, if they're hot, that means that somebody followed up with that person 5-10 years ago and they were extremely cold. They probably followed up with that seller or called that seller a year ago and that seller was cold. Okay, it's important to realize, my friends, you're not convincing sellers to sell, but you're also not, this is going to be a double negative. You're not trying. Excuse my grammar. To qualify the seller. I'll elaborate. You're wanting to, and let me get this out. You're not just giving up. You're not just giving up or getting off the phone on the first negative response. And I found this happens often with people afraid of the phone and afraid to cold call. Guys, I've been there before. Trust me. It is uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable cold calling, guys. Oh, if I could spell today, it's uncomfortable cold calling. If it's not in your inherent cognitive function stat, right, based off of Myers-Briggs, MBTI, or 16 personalities, right? All the same thing. Guys, this is why I'm huge on knowing your 16 personalities type, because every person that takes that test, everybody has their own strengths, their cognitive functions. There's 8 cognitive functions. Everybody has 4 that are their dominant, and then 4 that are shadow functions. They're like blind spots. And so mine is introverted thinking. That's being able to take a lot of information and make connections with them and consolidate that information in a coherent coherent framework and explain these concepts to other people. Okay, other people have introverted intuition. This is actually somebody I prefer, like INFJs, to cold call for me or do leads management, because they just automatically are intuitive and they know how to communicate with somebody and empathize with somebody, but also frame things in a way where it's a win-win situation. You ever have people, guys, that seems like they just get it and they get you? It's almost like they're a sage or they're some sort of like a guidance counselor who's meant to be that job, be in that job, or like a preacher, somebody who's like really just able to connect with you, and they're just meant to do that, and they're not judging you. That's somebody who's good for cold calling. That's more of like an INFJ. So it's important to know what your strengths and weaknesses are, guys. Okay, it's important to know your strengths and weaknesses. And I knew I was going to get this question. Will you be sending the script, or should I be typing myself? Kind of hard to keep up. Yeah. So Laura, I will be posting this in the comments, just either on YouTube or on Facebook after this. After I finish it up, I'll have a link where you guys can go and download the script. Okay. No need to write it all out. Okay. And this replay will be there for everybody to consume. Okay. My guy, Joe Thomas, I pulled a couple lists for him in Baltimore and in Philadelphia. Joe, how are you doing? So great to see you here. Happy New Year, guys. And thank you guys so much for joining live, and everybody's who's watching the replay. Okay, guys. So I don't want to nerd out too much on this, but it's very difficult, guys, for me to talk about this without talking about like your inherent strengths and weaknesses. Are a good gauge at if you can freestyle on your calls, or if you need to follow the script. What am I trying to say? Directly. There's a better word for that. So this is important to know, guys. So if you are like me, guys, I needed to follow this line by line up until I got to a point, maybe after like 300 cold calls, guys, before I was able to start veering off for this and freestyling a little bit. Some people, you guys can use this as a guideline, but for the most part, I think this is a good starting point. So let's go ahead and get into this, guys. So, guys, I'm calling the seller. I'm the investor. I'm calling the seller. Ring, ring, ring. Seller picks up. Seller says, hello. We're good to go. Hi. Guys, I don't say, am I speaking to John Smith? I say, hey, John. Guys, if there's a woman that picks up and you are calling John, guys, use common sense. If you're calling somebody with a male's name, you can say, hey, am I speaking to Betty Smith? But most likely, if you're using a good skip tracing company, I use IDI data. And most skip tracing companies, they've gotten pretty good over the years. That first phone number you dial should be that individual. So if you hear a man pick up and it says John Smith or James Smith or Michael Rodriguez, then you just say, hey, Mike. And you say, yes, speaking. Because if you say, hey, am I speaking to such and such? You sound like a telemarketer. Okay. So this is actually important to know. Hi, John. Yes, speaking. Or they have the opportunity to say, no, wrong number. If that's the case, get off the phone. Actually, I would test them a little bit. I would say, hey, is this the owner of 123 Main Street? They might say, no, you got the wrong number. But most of the time, guys, even if I've had sellers that I've called, I know I had the right number because I've had somebody else dial that seller, and then I would dial right after them. They would tell the other person, yeah, you spoke your women. I've noticed women do this for some reason. More women do this after a lot of cold calls. Be like, hey, Betty. She'll say, no, this isn't Betty. The lady clearly sounds like a Betty. She sounds like she's 70 years old. I know good and well my skip tracing phone numbers are really good. I see the phone number was updated in like January 1st, 2024. And yet the lady says, no, this isn't her. Guys, even if you're talking to even if you know in your heart you're talking to the right person, if that person says it's not them, they don't want to talk. That's strike 1, 2, and 3. So guys, you should automatically be in your head thinking, how do I disqualify these people? How do I disqualify them, right? You want to be a don't wanter, okay? You want to be a don't wanter, okay? Somebody who's, you're reluctant to be like, okay, is this somebody who's actually qualified? Because guys, you just don't want people going into your CRM that say, yeah, I'm interested in selling. Oh, I want an offer. And you haven't qualified them at all. Okay. And I'll give you guys some examples. I'll go through some text of cold call leads that we've qualified. I'm going to make a note here to do this. towards the middle end of this call. Show cold call lead examples. I'm going to do that without PII, the personal information. Okay, so I'll remove the phone numbers and stuff, just so you guys can see what a qualified lead sounds like. Guys, in 2019, when I first started, I'm going to be honest, the bar was much lower than it is now because I was using Filipino cold callers, and they were bad compared to what I'm dealing with now. I'm able to get the same effort and better quality and the same, if not more, leads with my Nicaraguan cold calling team. One cold caller in Nicaragua, same price, I'm paying $800 a month, than if I were to use a team of 4 cold callers, because I would view them as a group of Filipino cold callers, rather. I would view those people as a group, okay? And if I had 4 of them, I would basically just average all their efforts out and say, well, 4 cold callers could usually get me like 1 to 3 leads a day if I was lucky. And I wouldn't really judge them based off their individual performance because I knew their accents were working against them. I knew the language barrier wasn't really there with a lot of them. So with a lot of these people, guys, they would, they would talk to the sellers and they would just have grammar issues that good and well anybody from the West Coast won't be dealing with. And most of the cold callers, guys, that I have on my team, guys, these guys, they've lived in America. So Central America right now, Nicaragua, a lot of the people I'm working with lived in America. So, they may have an accent, but they just sound like they're from California or Texas. Amazing. And that's a big deal. Okay. Not to go on too many sidebars here, but I prefer dealing with West Coast people versus East. I don't want to say West Coast, Western Hemisphere people than Eastern Hemisphere people. Okay. But it'll say, hey, John. Yep. You're speaking to John. You say, hey, my name is Cece. How are you doing today? Or guys, you can also say, is this, did I catch you at a good time? I love saying this. I actually prefer this more so than how are you doing today? But here's another thing too, guys. Knowing your strengths and weaknesses, okay? You also know what sounds natural to you. Okay? So for me personally, this is the Leo in me. I can say, hey, how are you doing today? And it doesn't sound robotic. But if you are a little bit dry on the phone and you need to follow the script step by step like this and sound dry without, I'm exaggerating here, without veering off of it, then you might want to say, did I catch you at a good time? Okay. You don't want to sound fake. You want to sound authentic. That's really the whole reason why I put this script together. I thought, okay, what were those phrases that resonated with sellers over other ones? And actually, I think I'm just going to remove this, how are you doing today? And change this to, did I catch you at a good time? Also, one thing that you guys can say as well, because this works if you're dialing in a competitive market, guys, you can go ahead and stack this together. And you can say, hey, my name is Cece Garland, or Cece with, give me one second. With, I could say, hey, Memphis home buyers, or whatever city you're in, and whatever city you're in, and then the just home buyers. Okay. So, hey, my name is Cece with Memphis home buyers. Did I catch you at a good time? Because then they're in a position at that point, guys, to know you're calling from a home investment company, and they actually, you're giving them an out. So remember when I said a few minutes ago, you're looking for people, you're looking to be a don't want or a disqualifier. Okay. So if you give that person an out and you say, hey, I'm with Memphis home, my name is Cece with Memphis home buyers. Did I catch you at a good time? They can say, if they say, yeah, Guys, that's a green light. That's a green flag. That's good if they say, hey, yeah, you caught me at a good time. Imagine if I said, hey, my name's Cece with Credit Consolidators USA, or I'm Cece with what's the telemarketing spammy thing, like AT&T, like services, or sales services, or I'm with X1. Here's another one. I'm with First Auto Insurance. If they don't have First Auto's insurance, I'm just making that up, then they're most likely not going to continue that conversation. And guys, this all should happen within the first 10 seconds. You don't want to like rapid fire this out. Or I would say first 30 seconds rather, not 10 seconds. You don't want to rapid fire this out, but you want to get to this as quick as possible. When the Filipinos were on the phone, guys, they honestly could never get, a lot of them couldn't get past hello, because their accent would just sound spammy and scammy. And then the people would know they don't sound Latino. They sound like they're from the Eastern Hemisphere, either Pakistani, Egyptian, Indian. You don't want to use Indians at cold call, guys. But Filipinos, they don't sound like they're from America at all. You don't have people that sound like that are from America. So they automatically would just get hung up on. So, the type of cold caller you have is very important. Guys, I love my Filipino brothers and sisters. I prefer using Filipino people with that ethnicity in that part of the world for operations managers and any sort of like admin assistant tasks. I use Central Americans for calling on the phone, right? I use Americans for acquisitions. I usually joint venture. Guys, this is a global business that we're doing here. I love the age that we're living in. Okay. So once you do that, they say, hey, yeah, this is a great time. If not, guys, you gave them an out and you don't sound like all these other people. That's an important thing. You don't want to sound like the other people that are calling. You don't want it to sound like you're going through a script. That's why when I made the script, I wanted to make sure I emphasize this too, where it doesn't sound like you're just memorizing something. It sounds like you're having a conversation here. Okay, did I catch you at a good time? If they say no, guys, if not, ask when a good time to call back is. And guys, if they say, don't call me back, then you have your answer from there. Don't call them back. We really call everybody back, but you're going to throw them in your follow-up sequence. Or you might, if this is a cold call, rather, that's what I just said was for a follow-up list. But if this is a cold call, you just want to take them on and put them on your do not call list, right? Just remove them. No sense of wasting time, energy, or effort. I will call that person back, however, if I do recycle this list, let's just say next month. And I want to try to get some more juice out of the squeeze, okay? Got a couple more comments here. My guy Joe said, Happy New Year. Happy New Year, my friend. Hope things are great where you are. You're not freezing your butt off. Kevin Hicks is in Los Angeles, California. Thanks, guys, for dropping where you are. So you're it's 9:35. So you're on the stream bright and early. I'm glad I did this stream at this time, because when I looked at my vidIQ account, I saw there were a lot of people in the West Coast that follow me. I was going to do it at 9, but then I was like, oh, my West Coast people, they won't be able to catch it live because it'll be 6 a.m. their time. And then Quake, I had a great call with this gentleman named Quake. Guys, this gentleman right here, his name's actually Earthquake. Believe it. Believe the hype. Earthquake. I'm not kidding you. We had a great call a few weeks ago. Happy New Year. Robert, man, so great seeing you on here. Guys, Robert and I go way back. We actually were in the same youth group. One of the few people actually, man, that's gone on the real estate journey with me. But yeah, we go way back to the early 2000s. Guys, there's very few people I know and keep in touch with that knew me from that era, mainly because I was a little bit of a nerd. So I changed quite a bit since then. So Robert, great seeing you. And he's actually a twin. So, hey, great seeing you. Hope everything's going well with your real estate, with your agency that you're working for, my friend, and Happy New Year. And also too, yeah, Robert, he's an agent. So guys, I think this information is applicable to agents as well. You just might need to change a few of what you're saying here, a few things that you're saying here. But I'm a big proponent, guys, of marketing like a wholesaler. Even the agents I work with in my Build to Scale program and who come to me with consulting, guys, I teach them how to market like they're a wholesaler, because really it's all about getting in touch with sellers. But if you're going and reaching out to homeowners with the intent of listing their properties, guys, if you know how to do it like this is playing the game on hard mode. It's very difficult investing. You know, realtors have a lot in their favor, meaning they number one, you know, it's the primary way people sell properties in the United States. So that's already working for you. And then you're not trying to get the properties at a freaking, you know, low discount. So you're not going to have that adversarial relationship like you would have when it comes to potentially with investors, okay, and homeowners. So that's another reason why I created the script, guys. Guys, you know, these people are getting hit up by a lot of new investors that don't really know what they're doing and are hungry for a deal. Guys, I've been there before. And so I'm not going to tell you guys, if you're trying to feed your family, you're trying to leave a crappy job in a crappy situation, I'm not going to sit here and tell you don't be aggressive or anything like that, because I'm talking from being in a completely different place. Come January 9th, I will be in my 9th year in real estate. 8 full years by the end of January of working in real estate full time, because I quit my job in 2016, but I started my business in 2019. Okay, I'm sorry, I started my business in 2015, but I quit my job in 2016. Forgive me, guys. So all that to say, guys, is you want to make sure you're sounding like somebody different. And yes, I want you guys to be hungry. I want you guys to be aggressive, but the sellers cannot sense that from you. You don't want them to sense that from you, okay? You want there to be a little bit of reluctancy on your part, because that sends signals that you're savvy. If you're just agreeing to everything the seller says and you're sounding very agreeable and you're just saying things that you think they want to hear, guys, you may qualify to lead, but when you try to call that seller back, they might go ghost, because it's going to sound fishy. Guys, if a girl came out of nowhere to me and just started complimenting me out of nowhere, I'm going to be like, do you want me to like join your OnlyFans? Like, what's going on? Do you have people around the corner? Are you trying to like set me up and rob me? Like, if somebody's being, are you trying to sell me something? So try to put yourself in the seller's shoes, guys. Okay, moving on. So if seller says all that, you know, if it's a good time to chat, he says yes. Say, hey, great. He says, great. What can I do for you? It will sound something like that. Then you go into, hey, I'm calling in reference to your property at 123 Main Street. We're buying in that neighborhood. Will you consider an offer for that property? I think that's great. And if you told them, hey, you know, my name's Cece or whatever your name is with XYZ Home Buyers, and I think this is excellent to use, guys, because you don't want to give your exact business name. I'm going to actually put this here. Guys, never give your business name, LLC, unless you're a realtor, but if you're an investor, on a cold call. You're asking to be sued. And it just places liability on you. So actually, let me rephrase that. It can put you in a difficult situation legally. Guys, I'm not giving legal advice here. This isn't legal advice. All right. So don't say I'm consulting you guys legally. But I would say in my experience, and I have actual examples, guys, if you're calling somebody and let's just say that they're on the do not call list, the DNC list. That's the National Registry. And they slip through and you call them and they're on that DNC list. Or guys, if you're calling in places like California, Boston, Phoenix, a lot of these really large investor markets, you have attorneys that literally are on call and retainer to sue investors. Yes, guys. But if you're using a tracking number and batch leads, if you're using a tracking number in Mojo Dollar, whatever your caller, or whatever dollar you're using, and you're giving them a DBA, there's no way that they can trace that phone number back to you. You're protecting yourself legally. Guys, I had a friend that I taught real estate a few years ago. I won't mention his name, but he made a mistake of telling the seller, it was in Charleston, South Carolina, his name, his company name, his address, because he was so hungry to get that deal. He told that seller all that information, and he sent a FedEx envelope to the seller like the day that he got off the phone with him, or maybe a day or two after. True story, guys. I kid you not. FedEx envelope came back because he sent a contract off. He thought he was getting a contract back signed, and it was a summons to go to small claims court. And the seller said, hey, we can either go to small claims court and you'll be out of $5,000 to $10,000. And this guy just started real estate. Or what you can do is just pay me $200 a week until I tell you to stop. True story, guys. This guy blackmailed the buddy I was teaching real estate and paying him. It was like, I think it was like $200 a week. And when they got up to like $1,000, I think he said, hey, we're good. That was a very tough lesson to learn. Guys, there's a reason why I teach things this way. I give the sellers enough information where this sounds legitimate. Memphis home buyers, Oklahoma City home buyers, Missouri home buyers, Tennessee home buyers, Los Angeles home buyers. They know why you're calling. And guys, you're not, there may be companies in your area that are using this name. Okay. So I wouldn't use it in texting. If you are, you want to check and see if somebody's actually using it. If it's like memphishomebuyers.com, which it probably is, you can use something similar. You can use homebuyers or Memphis, or I'll do another one like Tennessee investment buyers, let's see, Los Angeles or LA, investment, just something generic. Okay, guys, we're going next level here. This isn't just me saying why. This isn't just me saying what to say. It's giving you anecdotal evidence on why you're saying certain things and why I have this like this. Okay. Me personally, guys, I got in trouble. Well, I didn't get in trouble. I actually had somebody when I was texting in Charleston. I was texting in 2019. It was from like my texting app that I made, and I was using Charleston Home Buyers. And actually, Charleston Home Buyers, the person that had that domain, they were ticked off with me because I was using that to text, and they were basically getting a lot of bad Google reviews because I was doing mass text messages. That wasn't good. So you want to be mindful of this, but you don't need to register this because this is just a DBA. So one thing that I want you guys to remember, especially if you're new to the investment space, real estate space, the money's made in the gray areas. If there's not a law specifically stating do this, do this, do this, do this, guys, you gotta operate in that gray area. Okay. That's worked for me. If you feel a little bit anxious or nervous or doing something, guys, you may just have to play ball up until somebody stops you. And we're not doing anything illegal, blatantly illegal, but something like this, I've tested this time after time, and this has worked really well with me. I haven't gotten any pushback. And it also allows the sellers to feel like they're not just talking to a random person. Because then if you don't say this up front, if you don't get ahead of this, what happens is later on in the call, you may be going along and then you start asking, we'll get to this in a second, all about their property. And they're like, wait, you're CC and you're just this person who's calling me? Like, wait, like, where are you calling from? Then they might start asking you about your website. They may start asking you about your LLC and things of that nature. I would say if somebody is asking for your website, if somebody is asking for your LLC or your contracts, guys, these are people that most likely are not motivated. That goes into my 3-strike policy. Okay, so if somebody's like, if I'm going along and then they interrupt me halfway through my script and they say, well, what's your LLC? Hey, we can provide that information, but can I just get a little bit more information from you just to see if we're a good fit? We're working with each other. And later on, guys, this week, I have it on my schedule. I think either tomorrow or Thursday, I am going to go over on my objection sheet. So like handling objections. But if somebody says that, then you have to mentally realize that, okay, why are they asking that? A motivated seller is a motivated seller is a motivated seller. Guys, you can't mess up a motivated seller. Guys, you cannot mess up a motivated seller. Now, does that mean we're not going to try on the call or we're not going to put our best foot forward? Absolutely not. But what it does mean is that a motivated seller will hit you in the face. It's like out of nowhere, you'll be like, oh my gosh, that was the easiest call I ever had. Now, does that mean we're not going to buy properties from people who are not super motivated? Guys, we're going to qualify those leads. All I'm saying is that you're going to know you're not going to have that much resistance with somebody who's cooperative. I would say I would put a cooperative seller too, right? They're not going to give you that much resistance. Okay, they're not going to give you that much resistance or pushback, guys. Now, they may ask you, if you're starting to ask about mortgages and rents and stuff like that, they may say, well, hey, I don't feel comfortable giving that to you. Hey, guys, if that's the only strike or if that's the second strike, I'm cool with that. Like if they answer all my other questions here or most of them, I'm cool with that. They might just be skeptical because you got to realize, guys, we're not the only people calling these people. And not a lot of people follow yours truly. So they're going out there and giving, they're not going out there in the field with good training. And so, or training at all. And so it makes us investors, everybody who's on this call and who's in my fold and who follows me and a lot of the other reputable people in this industry, you know, guys, they're going out there like wild hyenas in the field. And they're just saying anything to sellers. They're calling them, being rude to them. They're calling them, saying they'll follow up. And they're not calling back if they say they'll call them back. So each time an investor does something that's not cordial, right? That's rude. That's not professional. Got to realize, guys, we're all taking that hit. Just like with realtors, guys, realtors have the benefit of basically being the only source of being able to sell properties in the United States, buy and sell properties through the primary source, not the only source, the primary source and the most popular source for over 100 years, guys. That's why becoming a realtor is fairly easy to, I want to say it's easy. I don't want to say that. It'll be a lot easier to build rapport, right? You don't have to get ahead and say all these things. Like if I were to call from Remax and let's just say I was calling to list the house. Hey, this is, CC with Remax. Hey, just calling, to see if that property still, if you still want to sell that, or, there's a lot of homes in your area that are being sold. It looks like home prices have rose significantly since you bought your house in 1999. Can I provide you with a few comps? Yeah, that person's not going to be really apprehensive. They might be angry. They might be mad. People are like that, but that person's not going to be skeptical. That's the word I want to use. I misspoke. That person's not going to be skeptical. With us as investors, guys, we have a bad rap out here. It's getting better over the years, but you have some investors, especially during the recession, they were doing some loan sharking stuff. Guys, we just get a bad rap. You're going to call people and they're going to say, I don't want a low ball offer. They automatically associate us with low ball offers. Guys, I give seller low offers, but the offers that I give, I have a reason why I give them a specific offer. Okay. And then I explain that to them. Guys, we're having a conversation with people here. Okay. I used to look at people like they were like sellers, like they were just numbers. I'm volume based, but I really focus on, hey, how do I connect with that individual to win them over? How to win friends and influence people. Okay, that's a great book. So going back here. So if I say, hey, I'm calling you to your property at 123 Main Street, we're buying in that area, in that neighborhood, will you consider an offer for that property? Of course, they're going to say, if they made it this far, yes. Hey, they'll probably say, what do you have in mind? Or either they'll just say yes. If they say yes, what do you have in mind? Or yes, and they start going off and start talking about, I need, I'm 100,000 firm or 200,000 firm. Guys, that's when you pull it back and you say, hey, wait, okay, so we base our offer on the property's condition. I'll just need to ask you a few questions about the home's condition. I have an offer to you no later than 24 hours from now. So I wouldn't say this. You can say this, guys, if you need to go verbatim. But, if it's 12:52 now on this live stream, I'll say, hey, I'll have an offer to you no later than noon tomorrow. Does that sound good? Guys, you always want to give specific timelines. And if you do that, if you tell them guys, get back to them. Even if you don't have time to come up with an offer, or even if when you look at the house, you can't find comps, or if you get to the point and that they want retail, they want 300,000, your offer is going to be 100, you call them back anyway. Because guys, guess what? Majority of your leads that you close, if you've been doing this business for a while, and if you plan on staying in this business for a while, are going to be from follow-up. How do you follow up with sellers if you don't ever get back in touch with them? So you at least need to call them and just say, hey, looks like we're just a little bit far apart in this offer on what I need to get it for. Hey, looks like you're firm on this price. I know you want 300,000 for the house, Mr. Seller. We're going to be coming in there low. I don't want to insult you. Can I touch base with you in a month or two just to see if your situation changed? And they'll say, yeah, hey, that sounds great. And then you just follow up with them in a month or two, whenever you said you're going to follow up with them. But what you don't want to do, guys, and this is why investors get bad reps. I cannot tell you how many cold calls I listen to when I audit my sellers, my team's cold calls. I cannot tell you how many calls that I hear from my cold calling team, and they say, every time I talk to investors, they never call me back. Guys, that's a problem for them. But see, if you're going off of this and you're actually doing what you say you're going to do, then that puts you up over the competition. You may not be able to close that deal now, but what if you have 100 people that you spoke with and you built rapport with all of them? You got back within 24 hours or 48 hours with all of them. And then you're following up with those 100 investors over the course of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. You cannot tell me that one of those homeowners, by the time you get to month 3, 4, 5, one of those homeowners are not going to want to consider selling with you. Very important stuff here, guys. This isn't for the people, guys. I'll tell you who this isn't for. Guys, this isn't for people that are just looking to you need a quick deal, because you're not going to really be hearing what I say. Guys, I could get anybody a quick deal. I'm trying to help people build businesses to last. That's why I don't have a huge following. Top of that, not really consistent with social media. I will take the blame for that. But another thing too, guys, is that, guys, I'm not the sensational person here. I'm not going to tell you guys, it's just not in me to sensationalize stuff or present things that's not true to you guys. And guys, that may factor into why my audience right now just seemed like it plateaued at a certain level. Hey, I'm cool with that. If I can help even one person get out of their job, or either systematize their company to make it last, and so they can pull themselves out of business and get 10, 20, 30, 40 hours back in a month, guys, I've done my job. That's really my goal here, is to fill in those gaps and give you guys information that you're not really able to get in other areas. Okay. So when I say this is really important stuff to realize, especially if I'm emphasizing it. There's a reason why. Okay. So then I could say after I say, hey, we base the offer off the property's condition. I'll just need to ask you a few questions about the home's condition. And I can have an offer to you no later than 24 hours from now. How's that sound? John, Mike, Joe, fill in the blank. Hey, that works for me. And guys, going forward, I'm basically just basing this if I'm working with a cooperative seller. Okay. So, they can say 100 things here. They can say, oh, well, that could work. Or they could say some smart aleck remark. And if they say that, just, hey, listen, is that strike 1, 2, or 3? If it's the third strike, hey, you know what? Seems like, really not in the right place to work with you right now. Hey, I don't want to waste any more of your time or my time. Hey, I'll touch base with you just a few months down the road to see if anything changed. And then they might say, that sounds good. Or they might say, hey, don't go. And then they may tighten up. Guys, don't waste your time. These calls should take 5 to 10 minutes maximum. If you're dealing with a motivated seller, take as long as you need. Take 30 minutes. But most of your calls should be about 5 to 10 minutes because you're just qualifying them. You're not trying to eat the whole whale at once, the whole hyena, the whole chicken, the whole fill in the blank. You're not trying to eat it all at once. You're just trying to, take a little bite here, qualify. It's like if I were to send direct mail to homeowners when I was doing that heavily in 2015, 16, and 17. When I was doing that, guys, my direct mail just qualified the people, got them into the door. The direct mail piece wasn't to, get the homeowner to fill out a survey and send it back and for me to qualify it and all that. No, it was just getting them to call me. All right. And then really, direct mail piece, it was just to get leads in the door or people to call me, and then I would have to qualify on the call. Okay. So if they say, hey, how's that sound? If I say, how's that sound? Seller says, that works for me. Then we move to step 2. Guys, make sure you're actually following up with the seller. It was so important. I put this on my script. Make sure you're actually following up with the seller, as over 80% of wholesalers do not do this. They are looking to one call close the seller on the first interaction, which is not realistic at all. Guys, even if you got the seller to commit to your price, if they want $30,000 and you needed that house at $50,000 and they were like, hey, I'll just give it away. Guys, there's no chance that you're going to send them the contract and they're going to sign immediately. Now, you can set up an appointment, go to the house and meet them, and then that could happen. So it could be a call and then appointment, physical appointment. But guys, calling the seller and one call closed them, that's in fantasy world. Guys, there has to be a little bit of a courting period. Even if they sign the contract, as soon as you send it over and they signed it, they're going to go to sleep at night and they're going to be like, all these ideas are going to be going through their head. Who am I working with? Who is this CC person? Wait, they agreed too quickly to $30,000. Did I offer too low? Should I have gone too high? Should I have gone with that investor who called me a month before? Guys, maybe there's like 1 out of 1,000 homeowners. And I would probably say this, guys. Maybe in my 8 years of real estate, going on 9 years of real estate, maybe there was one homeowner. Guys, there was one. There was one homeowner I can recall off the top of my head. It was a property in Goose Creek, South Carolina, that I called, and it was my business partner at the time called Ethan, and that was a direct mail piece. That seller contacted us, and she was ready to go immediately. But that wasn't a cold call. That was a direct mail piece. I want to see if I can actually find that deal. So I'm trying to think, guys. I don't think there was guys, I can't think of one home that I've cold called and it was a one call close. I can't think of one. Not even 2 call close. I'm not finding that HUD in here, but maybe it's here. Let me see. Checking my notes. Nah. But guys, that was a direct mail piece. So if you have direct mail, then direct mail is going to build a rapport for you a little bit more than cold calling. Cold calling, guys, you're just a random person calling, and you're not the first person that called. Even if you're the first person that called them, they haven't gotten any calls from any other investors. That means you have to do more work with building rapport. unless that seller mistakes you from somebody who was calling them 100 times before, and then you get on the phone with them and you start talking to them, they may mistake you with somebody before. If it seems like you're able to one call close them, it's probably because you're piggybacking off of somebody else's follow-up who just dropped the ball. That's why I'm huge on follow-up, guys. I cannot tell you how many times I have called sellers months down the line after I called them once and I was like, oh, there's no way that seller's gonna sell. I've had sellers curse me out, guys. I've had sellers say not so nice things, tell me to not call them again, shove my contract and my offer up my bleep, 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 bleep. Guess what? Those sellers that I didn't follow up with, sure enough, I would check 3-4 months later when my lead flow got a little bit low, like in early, spring, like March, April, like December, November is a dip. And then March, April is like a dip I've noticed as well when it comes to selling. But during those times when I would touch base with sellers, guys, I would find that when leads I generated 5-6 months ago that cursed me out, that were extremely negative, sold their houses to other investors who were in real estate for fewer years than I was and sold for less. Guys, I dropped the ball and they piggyback off my follow-up. That's why I'm huge on follow-up. So you should automatically be thinking, hey, yeah, you might get lucky, guys. And I hope whenever you do your marketing, you pull your list in a way that you're able to get a property under contract within 2 weeks to 4 weeks of you starting your campaign. But know that it's going to take you around 30 to 50 cold call leads. Really, we're at 30. This is the best metric I've been right now in my wholesaling career. I'm at 30 leads right now to get one property under contract. But the day I start my marketing campaigns, guys, I have hot leads coming in. The day I start my marketing campaign. Okay. I have leads that want under $100,000. It's because how I pull my list. It's how I pull my list and how I determine them, how I determine my market and the zip side target. But that's an exception to the rule. Okay. Hey, Yogi, how you doing? Happy New Year. So good seeing you, guy. My guy, Yogi. Hope you guys are getting value out of this. I'm going to try to limit the sidebars, but a little bit of the conjecture here allows you guys to realize I'm not just, number one, I know what I'm talking about. I'm not just putting these phrases here and these clauses here just for no reason. There's a reason why I'm emphasizing all these things. Okay. So step 2, guys, we're going to go into the qualifying questions. Guys, these questions should be asked in the following sequence. Pay close attention to the homeowner's answers and make sure to jot down notes. Allow the seller to provide their response for each question before moving to the next. It's important to keep the conversation centered solely around the property's condition and situation without deviating. Meaning, guys, if they're starting to talk about the neighbor's house, they're starting to talk about what they ate on Sunday, if they're starting to talk about anything that's going to deviate from you basically having a reason to get that price lower, you don't want to be talking about. You can talk about that stuff at the end, but you got to stay on task here, okay? Because time is of the essence, and the fact that you have a seller that got to this, picked up the phone for one, and you got to this part of the contract, that's huge, guys. You want to take advantage of the time you have on the call. Okay, guys, this approach is strategic because understanding the property's condition enhances our ability to negotiate effectively. These details can be used as leverage to support rationale for offering a lower price. I could word that differently. But basically what I'm saying here, guys, is you can use this as leverage to get a lower price. That's why, guys, you don't just go when the seller says, hey, what price do you have in mind? Well, I'm going on Zillow. I'm thinking of offering you 50,000, 40. Guys, no. You're not gaslighting the seller, but you need to put in their mind things that they haven't thought about in a long time, things that they haven't even considered. Okay. As I go through these questions, the seller's going to start thinking, in their mind, they might have had 200,000 in their mind when you called. But as you go along this process here, they might start talking themselves down lower and lower and lower and lower and lower. Okay. So can you give me information about the roof? The major things you guys want to be focused on is the roof, the kitchen, the bathrooms, the HVAC. Guys, some of these things I just ask just to get them to think about the house. I don't need to know these things to put my offer together. There's a playlist, guys, on my YouTube channel. It's called, I think it's Generating Offers for Properties, but it's 3-video playlist, and I show you guys how to make blind offers without seeing the house. You don't need to know the condition. It's not based off the Mayo formula. It's based off of things that have sold and have flipped, or BRRRRs, property that have been bought, renovated, rented out, and refinanced. Okay. So if somebody flipped a house, you see it was sold for like $50,000 3 months ago, and then it's rented right now. That's the BRRRR. Okay. And then you're going to base it off of, 3 or 4 properties that are in similar square footage, similar beds, baths, and year built, to determine square footage, to determine if that house is actually in the, to determine what you get offered to seller. Okay. So I have a playlist base that talks about that. So a lot of this information, guys, that I'm asking isn't for me to underwrite the deal. It helps, but it's really to get the seller, one, knowing that we know what we're talking about. Guys, if you're new and you use the script and you start asking these questions, guys, you're going to come across a professional, and it's important. I put that in here. Okay, so guys, paraphrase and state the seller's responses aloud to acknowledge that you are actively listening and to instill confidence that you are a professional. Amateurs ask service level questions. Professionals dig deep. Guys, amateurs skim through these questions. They're very surface level. They're trying to just see, okay, they're trying to play lottery. You're trying to play the lotto out here, guys. They're trying to see, okay, can I send off 3,000 text messages today? Can I get somebody who wants $20,000 for their house? Can I contract that and put that on investor lift and make $20,000? Guys, that's a hustle. Yeah, you can do that, but what are you going to do when you get that $20,000 assignment fee? What are you going to do? You don't have any systems or processes. And guys, that gets tiring. When you're young, when I was young, that hustle game was fun, but it gets to a point, guys, where life gets in the way. You're going to have, family issues that come up. You may get hurt. You may get sick. In my case, guys, I was dealing with a prolonged stomach illness. Pretty much my whole investment career, I just cured myself from that 2 years ago. But all my investment career, it was something I battled silently. And basically, I would be good for 3 months, and 3 months I would be not so good. So I would be like bedridden. But I had people in place, and I had systems in place where my company basically was able to run in my absence. I had to get good at this stuff. Guys, some of you guys may want to take a mental health break. Some of you guys may are married, right? So you may want to, take some time off after you may bring a child into this world and want to take 6 months off with your wife and just chill out. Or you may get pregnant yourself and you may just want to chill out. Guys, I'm saying all that to say is that, yes, you can hustle to get started. I encourage you guys to just throw paint at the wall and see if it sticks. But guys, it shouldn't become the norm to become sick and that be like something that's part of your lifestyle, right? I know a lot of entrepreneurs are sick mentally and physically. They're making a lot of money, but no amount of money can buy mental and physical well-being. I'm just not saying that. And you don't want to get to a place where you pass the threshold and you can't come back from. Okay, you're drinking yourself to kidney failure. Guys, these are real things. You're getting depressed and you're making some not so great decisions. You're getting hooked on some addictive substances. Guys, these are things either I have seen or I've experienced personally. Okay, I'm just being honest with you. I hope I can be honest with you guys here, okay? This goes so much deeper than just a cold calling script. I want to give you guys a holistic approach and why I have these phrases and clauses here, okay? All right, so guys, I go over the property condition. You want to come across as a professional, not an amateur. And if a seller says, hey, the roof is in good condition, guys, try to dig a little deeper. And if you're training your team, try to get them to dig a little bit deeper. If they say it's in good condition, guys, some example. Okay, what type of shingles? When was it repaired, patched up, are completely replaced. Okay, guys, this is going to make you come across as a professional. Okay, so if they just say good, that's sort of good for the cold call. But if you guys are conducting a cold call for yourself, you could probably do a little bit of light acquisitions on the call too, if the seller is seeming like they're actually cooperative or receptive, especially if they have a price in mind and the price is within your offer range. So why not just kill two birds with one stone here? Okay, can you give me information about the roof? What type of shingles? When was it repaired? Patched up or completely replaced? They're going to be like, oh man, I said it was in good condition, but I got it replaced 20 years ago, and I've really only been patching it up since then. Oh, what type of shingles? Well, I don't know. Are they architectural shingles? Do I have a tin roof on it? Guys, getting the seller to think about things they haven't thought about before. Okay. Then I like going on over the kitchen. How about the kitchen? How good of a condition is it in? Okay, guys, go over the following items in detail. How about the appliances? Okay. Are they newer or original to the property? Okay. Talk to me about the countertops, the cabinets. Are these original to the property? What about the flooring? Is it laminate, vinyl, hardwood? What's the condition? Guys, if a seller's saying, you're giving the seller opportunities to try to rush you off the phone, or if they're talking to you, they're keeping that door open and they're playing ball. If they're on the phone, but they're just having very short answers, then you should automatically be like, okay, is this strike 1, 2, or 3? So you're giving them an opportunity to see, okay, are they cold, warm, or hot? That's really what I'm trying to get at here, guys. Because if I could classify a seller as cold, warm, or hot, I know how to funnel them through my system. I've noticed I was generating a lot of leads early on in my career. I just didn't know what to do with them. They would just sit in limbo. And I would say, oh, well, I don't know what to do with this lead. Guys, that usually came from me having a lack of information and a lack of knowing what to ask them. It comes down to their cooperativeness and their price. So if they're cooperative, or let's just say they're non-cooperative, and you qualified the seller and he's like, hey, yeah, you give me an offer, but they're just seem a little bit lukewarm or cold. Guys, I'm gonna qualify that lead. I may put them in my CRM, but I may get back to them and just say, hey, this is what we're offering. This is what we can offer you. And I already know that they're probably not going to accept it, and just make that call all to set up the follow-up for the next month. And then to follow up with them the next month, and a month after that. Who knows? Their situation may change 6 months from now. I love using this example. There was a gentleman named Herbert Reynolds. He owned a property in Union Heights, North Carolina, one of the main neighborhoods that I worked whenever I started my real estate career. Okay, guys, this gentleman, he was one of those people that cursed me and my business partner out when we sent him a direct mail piece. He said, I'm tired of you guys, bleep, 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 send me these direct mail pieces, take me off your list, yada, yada, yada. I don't think he said take him off the list, because we would have taken him off the list. But he was very just upset. Guys, you catch people at bad times. I've had bad days. I know you guys have bad days. Some of us are a little bit more emotionally balanced with not lashing that out on people. But guys, I would even admit I've had my fair share of times that I've made my problems other people's problems, rather than emotionally regulating myself before I went out into the world or got on the phone with somebody. Okay. So people are people, guys, we followed up with them. I think it was like 5 months later. It was when we were going through a downtime. Yep, because we generated that lead in January of 2017. And it was around May of 2017. We were having a very, very tough month as far as lead generation. I think I put a whole bunch of money, a whole bunch of direct mail campaigns on my credit cards, and we didn't get any leads. Yet that was the month guys, I made a mistake. I actually pulled a pre-foreclosure list, and I didn't qualify. I didn't filter by equity. So it's like I pulled a pre-foreclosure list and nobody had equity. It's like everybody was upside down. I spent like $7,000. I maxed out a Discover card and part of a Chase card. Yeah, that blew up in my face. $7,000 down the drain. Okay. So, and we didn't have any leads that came from that. None. But we did have about 200 leads in our Podio account. Shout out to Investor Fuse. We were still using Investor Fuse back then on Podio. Okay. This was the first time my business partner and I got into an argument. He wanted to follow up with the old leads. I said, hey, we should probably go driving for dollars or prospecting or go to the auction. We should be doing something instead of following up with people that yelled at us. He was actually the one that said, nope. I think he saw a podcast or heard a podcast or something like that. There was something in him that he was like, no, we have to follow up with these people. We butt heads, guys. It was our first argument. So we were 56. That was like our third year in real estate. We made it 3 years without having a disagreement. I was the one saying, dude, don't waste your time. He wanted to follow up with all these people that yelled at us. Guys, sure enough, this gentleman, Herbert Reynolds, this guy, when my partner called him, guess what happened? From January to May, he developed cancer and he was ready to sell. He remembered talking to my business partner, but he didn't remember yelling or cursing at us. He didn't remember any of that. He was like, oh man, I remember your direct mail piece. He actually saved it. We just caught him on a bad day, guys. We ended up contracting both of those properties. 2034 Beach Avenue was one of them. And let me just see here. And I think it was a lot. Let me see here. I actually have it in my. Let me see here. Yeah. I got it right here. So I'm actually going to show you guys this. 2034. 1 second. Guys, I love showing you guys actual examples. There's nothing like the real thing, baby. Okay, so yeah, so I'm gonna show you guys here. This guy right here, Herbert Reynolds. This was from 2016. Let me make sure I'm finding the right one here. I can sit down on this. Hope you guys appreciate my sidebars here. Always want to make sure I'm giving you guys just accurate information. Not accurate, actual examples, so you guys can know I'm doing this thing. So yeah. So this was in March 2016. So my timeline was up. Either way, it was like we reached out to him, I think, in maybe January, maybe December 2015. All that to say is that when we originally reached out to him, he like cursed us out. And so we got this property under contract, 2034 Beach Avenue. We got 2 properties under contract, guys. I don't think we were able to move this one. There was another one we had. And guys, actually, we went to this guy's property in Latson. I remember going to sit down and we drove there and we got this thing signed because it was a wet signature. Right? So it was him and his wife. So somebody who cursed us out, no fewer than 3 months prior, we went to Latson, South Carolina, sat in his house. Gentleman got cancer from the moment we, reached out to him like 3-4 months ago to then. And this guy wanted to marry his daughter away to us by the time we left. I'm not kidding. It was actually pretty interesting. We had that happen a lot. It was either the older ladies were always hitting on us because we were young. We were like, my partner was like 22. I was like 27 at the time. So I had a baby face. I was shaved. Yeah, we used that to our advantage. But yeah, we contracted for $20K. Guys, this isn't a game. This was a follow-up lead. And that first time we called him, he didn't want to have anything to do with us. Okay? Guys, this is the power of number one, qualifying these sellers and follow-up. So it's interchangeable. Okay, guys, I got to get on a training call here in 30 minutes. So I'm going to wrap this up here. Okay, so you want to go over the property condition. Okay, what about the paint inside? When you need to touch it up? Are the ceilings in good condition? No signs of leaks? Are the bathrooms in similar condition to the other parts of the house? Have they been updated recently? Guys, this is something where You don't have to go over this line by line. You know, I would say here you want to follow this to the T, especially if you're, excuse me, just starting. But here, you know, if you get this, if the seller starts elaborating on one part of it, then you basically just want to have enough ammunition to get the seller to lower the price, so the seller knows, hey, the property condition isn't great. That's all I'm trying to get out of this. So the seller starts thinking about things that they haven't thought about. Because if they say, oh, everything's in great condition, well, what about that back room, you know, that you added on 10 years ago? You know, did you go to the city or the county and get that addition added on? If so, is it a heated addition, or is that garage just walled in and you just have like a wall vent in there? Guys, it's just getting the seller to think about think about things that happen over the years that they may have forgotten or may consciously be not telling you, because they're going to try to dress the property up to make it look better than it actually is. Guys, after that, that's why I go to the seller situation. At that point, they may say, oh, well, what can you offer me? Hey, I need to know, why do you want to sell? Well, hey, actually, before we even go know why you want to sell, I need to know, hey, is this rented or is this your primary residence? Right? When do the tenants plan on moving, or have they found a place yet? Is it vacant, occupied? You get that from there. They'll usually tell you here if it's rented. Okay, guys, you need to know how much it's renting for. And is it a month-to-month or annual lease? This is very important. Very important. Why is this important? Because a lot of buyers want to buy houses with the tenants out of them. If they buy them with tenants in place, then that gives them most buyers. Your buyer pool is very small, and it gives them a reason to negotiate your assignment fee lower. Like a day before closing, your buyer may say, oh, well, we ran the numbers and, we're going to have to come in a little bit lower. And they may not even say it's because they're buying it with tenants in place. But it's a lot difficult to move properties with tenants in place, especially if the property is just like not in good condition and they need to buy it at a discount. You're usually undercharging for rents. So, most of the time it just makes sense to get them out of there, do repairs, and then double the rents. Increase the rent significantly, and then they have their own tenants out there qualifying. Okay. Have you had any other offers on the property? You want to ask them that. Okay, because then you're thinking, okay, what's this price? What's their price that they have in mind? And you're trying to ask them. So if they say, yeah, I got a $35,000 offer, just way too low. I got a 61 that I would consider. So you're basically getting them to say what the price is. Guys, he who names the price first loses. Now, does that mean I'm not going to call these people back and never give offers? Guys, I'm going to give offers. But I want to try, same thing with my 3-strike policy. I want to try 3 times and ask 3 different ways if the seller can give me a price. But you can't just say, what price do you have in mind? Will you take a price reduction? Guys, that's not going to work. But you could get them in a gotcha, and you could get them to say, hey, have you had any other offers on the property? Yeah, I had one for $50,000. Now, some smart investors or some smart sellers may say, yeah, I had some. Well, what was the price? Oh, I don't want to tell you that. I've had ones that have picked up on the game, but sometimes you catch them slipping, especially if you're going through these leads here, or these questions rather, and you say, hey, have you had any other property offers on the property? And what were those, by the way? Yeah, I got 30,000. And then and then they can say, oops, I didn't mean to say that. Then okay, well, was that too high or low? By that time, they'll say, hey, that was right. Now I would consider that now, but 2 years ago that was too low for me. So if you offer around 30,000, they'd be good with that. Okay, guys, this is what negotiation is. It's not all this hardball trying to beat people on the head with prices and stuff like that. Is really planting seeds in their head and coming across as really savvy and really knowledgeable, right? And logically, you're not tricking people, but logically, you're basically telling the seller why they need to take lower. Okay, and without saying it directly, you're anchoring them. Okay, is a property list? And the property is not listed with an agent, right? I phrase it like that. So you can have a yes or no question. Most of the time I'll be no. If it's listed with an agent, guys, I don't work with agents. I'm not doing that right now. Most of the wholesalers I'm working with aren't either. So, at that point you're going to say, okay, hey, well, when was it listed? If it was listed like 6 months, 7 months, well, 5 months ago, most contracts were for 6 months, 3 or 4 months ago, then I would qualify it and I would just follow up with that seller once that expired. But if it's freshly listed, there's nothing you can really do with that. Okay. So do you have a ballpark in mind of how much you would like to walk away with price wise? That's when you ask them that. And they may say, no, don't have one in mind, or hey, can you give me an offer? Okay, I'm cool with that. I wouldn't consider that a strike because a lot of people aren't going to want to give you the offer price. Okay. This is one I'm not really asking right now. I'll probably take this away. I don't really need to know how much it was appraised for. I would say I do ask how much are the property taxes. Okay, what's a good reason for selling? Any particular reason why? This is something you really want to emphasize here, and you want the seller to elaborate. Okay, because this will allow you to really get inside their head and know, okay, why are they selling? Why are they selling this house? Are they just looking for an offer? Do they need to sell? Do they want to sell? Very important stuff here, guys. Highlight this in yellow. Okay. How fast are you willing to sell if we gave you a good offer? If we give you a good offer? I love this question. I love this question because then that tells you, okay, well, 6 months, 3 months, hey, 30 days, ASAP, right now. That lets you know if you need to drop everything and just underwrite the deal or if it can wait till tomorrow. Okay. Guys, you don't want to be wasting your time on people that and underwriting deals. If they say, hey, I want to sell in 3 months. If they say they want to sell in 3 months and then you test them out and they seem like they're firm on that, let's just say they're on vacation, I'll be back in 3 months. Or let's just say they have a tenant and the annual lease will expire in 3 months. You may want to follow up in the next month, but I'm not going to spend an hour underwriting that deal. I may give that seller like an offer range. I may go and just see what this estimate is and just be like, hey, you know what? We're like 45 to like 75K for this house. Are we in the right ballpark? If they say, not really, then I know to follow up with them. I know I didn't waste my time. If they want to sell 3 months from now and they're like, hey, that could work, I can then go and say, okay, well, hey, you know what? You don't have to do it now. You talk it over with your wife, friends, family, whoever you need to talk it over with. Hey, in a couple of weeks, or a few days, I could touch base and we actually sign the paperwork and we could, put the closing 3 or 4 months later. That'll actually be great because that'll allow me to take my time and do my due diligence, get contracts out there, do what I need to do. You can do what you need to do. I'll give the tenants 3 months to find a new place. So that's why you want to know what the timeline is. It's really so you're not wasting your time. You guys, not every homeowner is going to want to sell like now. Like probably like 2 to 5% of your leads, if you're lucky. About 2% of the leads you generate will be really motivated to sell. Guys, think about that. About 2 to 5%. So if I generate 50 leads in 1 month, we'll be ready to sign now, right? I'll be looking conservatively now. And, there's exceptions to the rule, but conservatively, 1 lead that will want to sign my contract like this month. With the list I'm pulling, I'm getting about 5%. So if I'm generating 30 leads, I'm getting like 2 leads. Let me just make sure my math is right. I would say like 5. Let me see. 10% is 3. I would say 7% right now. Yeah, I'm getting about 7% that want to sell with the list I want to pull. Like that will want to sign the contract this month within 30 days of that first campaign. And there's a campaign I'm doing right now and a client of my client's market right now. And man, we have so many hot leads that want under 100,000, so many sellers that want anywhere from 30,000 to like 50,000 for their houses and have multiple properties for sale. It's really just a matter of how quick we can underwrite them. But what I'm doing right now, it's usually like 7%. So just keep that in mind, guys. Cold calling, guys, it's just that. Guys, you're cold calling cold leads. You're cold calling cold leads. Eric is an OG, guys. Eric goes way, way, way back. One of the original in our build to scale groups. I think it was one of the first like 15 in our build to scale group. For some reason, I think it's not showing up there. It's avatar. And I'm about to wrap this up, guys, here. If you have any questions, guys, go ahead and drop them in here. If you found value out of this, just let me know. I do have a training call I have to hop on in a few minutes, so I have to prepare for that. So, guys, will you consider showing me the property? You always want to ask that. Guys, this is just gearing you up for the strikes. Is this strike 1, 2, or 3? We're getting to the point where if the seller is asking you, if the seller's saying, well, why do you need to go see the property? Like, it's put up a shut up time at that point. Hey, can we set up a date to see it? I may underwrite it, or I may look at the lead, guys, and I may say, you know what? We don't need to go to the appointment, but this will let me know, hey, how do I need to categorize this individual? Okay. Do I need to put this seller in cold, warm, or hot? If he says, hey, you guys could come out today and it's vacant, you just need to walk through the front door. Okay. I may say, okay, guys, let's spend an hour or two and let's underwrite this deal now. We got somebody who's motivated. So, guys, it's just not one thing that determines the seller's motivation. I would say price is huge, but I would say it's a myriad of things. And the things that I've emphasized and I actually highlighted here are the points of emphasis. The points that I would say would be not deal breakers, but will allow me to lean a little bit more towards knowing if the seller's motivated. For instance, if the seller says, yes, I would consider selling you the property tomorrow at 3 p.m., that answer and question weighs a little bit more than, have you had any other offers for the property, right? This is good to know, but this is like great to know, especially if it goes in your favor. Okay, so Mara, shout out to Mara. We had a great call last week, one-on-one consulting call. Mara asked, if we were calling as a mock business name, what do we contract the root property under? Okay, great question. You're going to that's going to be your actual LLC name. So you're going to contract it as your company name. When I first started, my first company was Holy City Homes. Okay, so that's going to be the one you qualify it under. Okay, or you contract it under. The whole thing here, guys, you don't want to give the seller your LLC name before you know if they're a pretender or if they're real, right? You don't know if who you're dealing with. Guys, once you ask all these questions, you call them back a couple of times, they pick up, they sound cooperative. That's when you send them the contract. But guys, you guys just shouldn't be sending contracts off. If somebody asks, well, can I see your contract? I say, hey, I don't just send my contract off unless we're actually agreeing on a price. Guys, that's how you set yourself up for potential legal issues. Again, this isn't legal advice, but that's how you set yourself up for just waking up one day and then you're like, oh, shoot, I have a call from this attorney. You get blindsided by things. You just want to make sure you're running a tight ship. So, yeah, use the mock business name when you're calling, but really, when you're sending a contract out, guys, the seller should be in agreement with your price. There are some people that are of the mentality, and I don't do this, guys, where they're just like, oh, if I have 100 contracts out, I'll just wake up and have a seller DocuSign a contract 6 months later. Yeah, guys, it could happen, but I want to know all the contracts I have out there. And sellers usually only sign contracts with people that they have rapport with. If I would be concerned if I woke up one day and I had like 100 contracts out and there was a seller I haven't spoken to for months, and then they just signed my agreement, my offer could have changed since then. If I'm doing that many comparable sales, or I'm sorry, if I'm sending out that many contracts, I'm not able to put that many comparable sales out. Okay, guys, that would be very, very difficult. Or underwrite that many deals. I misspoke. So I want to be able to underwrite that many deals. So if I'm putting that if I'm putting 100 contracts out, I'm being facetious with the number. I'm just saying a large amount, like 20 in a month. And I'm not underwriting those individually. The seller signs it, they get it back to me. I'm probably going to have to renegotiate with that seller anyway. So all I'm saying is that you do use your LLC name, but it's after you qualify and after you got a good vibe with the seller. That's something that you only know in your heart of hearts once you actually start communicating with them over time. Wes, thank you for joining. Yes, hey, I appreciate that. I aim to put out authentically useful content. That is the name of the game over here. Yeah, so check back within 24 hours. Anybody watching this live replay, I will have a link with this. I almost said purchase agreement with this cold calling script, and I'm going to be going over, I think tomorrow, guys, either my purchase and assignment contract or my objection sheet. So I want to take the first week out of this month, the week or two out of the new year, and actually go over just some basics here, guys. There's been a lot of automation coming into this industry, a lot of softwares that are revolutionizing the industry. Great, but nothing replaces the foundations. And this is a good reminder for me too, guys. Like as I was going through this, it was just good stuff for me to remember myself. So I'm going to have all this stuff in a link available, guys, once I finish all of the training for the week. So 24 to 72 hours, you expect to see that here. I actually have to clean this up because as I was going through this, I see some things I need to add. So even if I had this available, I want to edit it a little bit and then put this out for you guys. So check either in my Facebook or in my if you're watching this on YouTube, on the description on YouTube. Okay, so guys, wrapping this up here. So you say, hey, thanks, seller's name. Thanks, Mike, so much for taking time to answer my questions. Is there a good email for you so that we can send you additional details about our company? And also in case we can't reach you on your current phone number. Guys, this is great. If they're reluctant to give you your email, guys, you're automatically qualifying the seller even more and more. Okay, hot, cold. Notice it's not one factor here. If the person is like, I don't want to give you my email, why do you need that? Okay, guys, I'm like, okay, they were hot, but now they're getting a little bit cold. If they say, well, hey, I don't have email. A lot of older people we communicate with don't have one. Okay, I'm fine with that. I'm just trying to see. I'm just trying to test the waters, guys. Like 9 times out of 10, I'm not emailing these people unless I am sending them a contract. And by that time, I'll have another conversation in the future to verify their email to send the contract to. Okay, through DocuSign, and then I just take about 2 minutes, 1 to 2 minutes to recap the call. Guys, you'll get better at this at time. You'll just say, hey, something like, hey, I think I have all the information I need. If you allow me, please, just 24 hours, I'll get back with you with an offer. Hey, when's a good time to get in touch if you didn't get that information already? Hey, can I get in touch with you? When's the best time to touch base? Morning, noon, or evening tomorrow, right? Don't give them an out. You can even name times. When's a good time to get in touch with you? 9, noon, or 7? 10, 3, or 6. Okay? Don't just say, okay, well, I'll touch base with you and just keep it open-ended. Notice, guys, like very few of my questions here are open-ended. A lot of them are yes or no. If they're open-ended, they're meant for them to elaborate on. Okay? Guys, I know I talked a lot on this call. And last thing I'll say is this. It's just like, then you're going to conclude, well, that's all I need for now. Appreciate your time. We'll be in touch shortly. Have a great time. All right, have a great day. Guys, I know I talked a lot on this call. And you're going to be speaking with the seller, and there's going to be a lot of things that you're asking, but really the seller should be talking most of the time. You're controlling the conversation through questions. Guys, you should not be on the defense. Like, meaning the seller shouldn't have you backed up in the corner like you're boxing and you're like blocking their blows. It shouldn't be like that, guys. If that's the case, you need to start asking questions, responding with their questions with questions. So if a seller says, hey, I want, what can you offer me for the house? Hey, well, I got to go over the property condition. Well, a lot of you investors giving me low ball offers. Will you be giving me a low ball offer? Hey, we don't do low ball offers, but we want to give you a fair offer. Hey, can you go into why you're selling and what the condition is? Okay. Seller may say, what's another comment? And this goes into objections. I might cover objections tomorrow, guys, because that's like really important to know. And so you could just like punch back with these sellers when you need to. But seller may say, well, hey, I've given this information to so many people and nobody ever calls me back. Hey, are you just like them? Or I'm not sure if I want to continue this call. Hey, totally understand, Mr. Seller. Hey, we're not like the other investors out there. If you just give me 5 minutes of your time, I can prove to you why we're different and how we're different. But first, I need to go over the property condition. Do I have 5 minutes? Can I have 5 minutes of your time to go over that? Boom. Guys, I've done so many calls and I've audited so many calls. I could like literally say this stuff in my sleep. So don't feel like you have to know this off the top of your head. But I think with this script, and like I said, check back just, after this live stream, I should have this thing uploaded here. And then you guys will be able to download this and then use this and then, paraphrase it. Guys, you'll get better with repetition over time. Just like running or doing an endurance based workout like CrossFit or like calisthenics. Oh my. Oh my gosh, guys. Let's just say CrossFit. It's bad when the grammar spell check doesn't recognize what you type. So just like running our endurance-based workout, you get better with repetition over time. Okay, that's really what I'm trying to emphasize here. Okay, that's really the main point, guys. You got to realize some people, guys, are just naturals and they're going to be able to get this quickly. Other people like myself, guys, I was scared to death. I'm being honest, guys. Whenever I first started, guys, I got back. I went to deployment. I was in the Army. I went to Afghanistan, came back. There was a lot of fears that I overcame in the Army and deploying and just in my life in general. This was one of the scariest and hardest things I had to do. It gave me so much anxiety. I'm telling you guys, cold calling gave me so much anxiety. It was one of those hurdles I had to overcome. And so don't feel like you're going to get this off the bat. I found you have to know for you personally what you need to feel confident on the phone. So if you don't feel confident on the phone, is it because you don't have the script memorized? For me, I didn't have confidence giving people offers. So I had to get really good at generating offers and also not knowing what to say. So I had to get really good at these objections. That's why I know them like the back of my hand, because I never wanted to be caught off guard, right? I couldn't like free flow like my business partner could. He had no issue picking up the phone and calling sellers, and not even, man, the first time we did this, he was just like, I'll do it. For me, guys, I needed to feel like I was more prepared because I didn't want to come across like I was stupid or not knowledgeable or just like a deer in the headlights, not knowing what to say. So just be patient with yourself, guys. Know that it's not something, if you naturally are not great at this, even if you are good at this, it's something that you're going to have to build up with over time. The only way you get better is through repetition. Literally, guys. Literally. It's not, watching a video like this 100 times. It's literally picking up the phone, getting yelled at, not knowing what to say, sellers one-upping you, you sounding silly, sellers ghosting you. Guys, it's part of the program. It's earning your stripes. That's why people now want to like avoid cold calling. They want to like text and do all this other stuff. This isn't for the faint of heart, but also making $20,000, $40,000, $50,000 wholesale fees. That's not common, right? So you gotta work for it. Okay, last question, guys, here. Then I'm going to wrap this up. Okay, so my gentleman here, X, was saying, what site do you recommend to find Nicaragua cold callers? So I have my own call center that I'm partnered with. Unfortunately, right now, she's only working with people that I'm either recommending directly or working with me with my program. I don't want to push people over to her right now, guys, just because it took me forever to partner with her and to train her up the way I need to get her trained up with in order to reach my standard. So I don't want her to be overwhelmed. And we talked about this. So she has sort of an exclusive contract with me. She's only working with me and any of my partners, my joint venture partners. But there are Facebook groups. Okay. There are Facebook groups where you can put out job announcements to find Nicaraguan cold callers. I suggest starting off at $5 an hour. A lot of people would say $3, guys. I don't pay anybody, even Filipinos. I was not paying them less than $5 an hour. When I first started, $4 an hour was the norm, but now I wouldn't hire anybody on my team. Nobody's getting hired on my team for underneath $5 an hour. Who wants to work for that? You got to ask yourself that. So that's where I would start. Facebook if you're going to do Upwork, you could do Upwork, right? You could do freelancer.com as well. I mainly use them for software developers, but Upwork is good. Guys, I was using a company called a website called onlinejobs.ph, but those are Filipino cold callers and virtual assistants. You may be able to find somebody there, but guys, if you're going to spend the same amount, you might as well go with somebody who knows the language and the vernacular and the slang. A lot of Filipinos, guys, they don't understand. Bless them. They just don't understand some of the language that we use in the States, all right? The sentence structure. So, or the slang, they take everything literally. A lot of them take everything literally, even the best speakers. Okay, guys. Hope this helped. Like I said, I'll be posting this in the link on on this Facebook replay, also on my YouTube. Guys, I really enjoyed this, and I'm going to start doing these lives a little bit more. I was ducked off for like the last 3 months. I was working with three of my build to scale clients, getting their businesses off the ground. So a little bit of my time is freed up now. So I want to get back to you guys. Thank you guys for everybody joining. We had about 13, 15 people on average. It's awesome. And we are going to, we'll keep this up, guys. Later, my friends. Bye.